So we've gone over different types of processes of manufacturing and making t-shirts, different ways that you can get your vision onto an actual piece of cotton. Now we're going to talk about different types of t-shirts from a more conceptual, creative standpoint. So probably the first and most powerful one, and the one that I said really started it off, was the logo t-shirt, right? Our logo is the pigeon. Hands down, the most popular and best-selling shirt we've ever done of all time is the big pigeon on a shirt. And honestly, as a designer, it pains me as a creative to constantly keep doing pigeon shirts, but they just keep selling, so I have to keep doing them. And you know, I think if you look at any brand like Ralph Lauren with the polo horse or Nike with the swoosh, like Nike's been around for 35 years, you know, like how do they keep selling swoosh t-shirts? I don't know, but people keep buying them and people keep buying these pigeon shirts. So, you know, we try to keep doing pigeon shirts, but we also try to flip them in different ways. So, you know, this is a collaboration we did with ICNY where it's a reflective pigeon shirt. And then now we start filling pigeons and doing different effects with pigeons as well. So this is a logo pigeon shirt. It's still a logo shirt, but now we've done this origami design with a $100 bill. This was also really popular. So, you know, I could have folded up this $100 bill in any way I wanted, but the fact that we made it so that Benjamin's eye was the pigeon's eye, that's some nerd shit right there. See, it's shit like that like when I see someone else do stuff like that, I'm like, that's care. He cares. And again, a logo shirt is, I mean, it's just a great way to get your brand across, man. I mean, your logo is your flag. You know, it's the flag for your brand. And there's nothing wrong with flying the flag of your brand around all the time in as many different ways as you possibly can. I know a lot of super artistic, creative people are like, fuck logo shirts, man. It's, you know, like they don't mean anything. It's all about telling a concept and you know, telling a deeper meaning. And that's true. But you know what? A lot of the general public, they just want to be down with the brand. They just want to be represented. Next up, we'll go in the photo tees. Photo tees is exactly what it sounds like. It is a photograph on a shirt. And this is a photo tee that we did. Photo tees are cool, you know. Pluses and minuses of a photo tee are when you silk screen a photo tee, you know, you kind of have this like huge crest on you, and it actually, you can feel it on you, literally. So I am personally not a massive fan of photo tees, but sometimes there's no better way to get the message across than to just put the darn photo on a shirt. Another type of tee is the type tee. The type tee is like one of my favorite types of t-shirts. Type tee meaning you use typography to express your idea, words, fonts, typefaces. And these are some of the easiest to do also. I think that's why I love them so much, because they're the most utilitarian. You know, who doesn't have Microsoft Word? If you have Microsoft Word, you can make a type tee, you know? And type t-shirts are some of the most powerful t-shirts of all time. They really stand the test of time because it's just a statement on your body. It's one of the most, you know, the strongest statements you could make is with a word. The negative of a type tee, I mean, if there is a negative, is that people will be reading your chest all the time. You know, they'll be like looking like, what does it say on your chest? Oh, okay. You know, and it's like, so it's sort of, it's a conversation starter, but you know, some people don't want that. Some people want to be a little bit more subtle and not so obvious. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite type tees. This is an old staple classic type tee. Basically all vernacular forms of the word money and cash done just super straight up. When I was thinking about this design, I definitely wanted to do a design based on money, the power of money, the power of cash, right? Maybe shows it globally as well. So all the different slang vernaculars that people have all over the world and all over the country for money. So that's why we did it like this. And then when I was thinking about how to execute on it, there's a million and one ways you could have executed this concept. But I thought, let me just type it out in like a nice typeface, spaced out with commas and almost like a paragraph. Just see how it looks. And I was like, man, that's pretty powerful. That really says it like succinctly. I could have done some graphic photograph, but then it would have taken an extra step for the viewer to understand the idea, you know? So I just wanted to be as obvious as possible, and this was great for that. And then in order to brand it, you know, again, flying that flag of your brand, you want people to know it's a staple shirt, right? Because so if I didn't have this, it's still a great t-shirt, but now it's a great t-shirt that nobody knows who made it. when I added this, now it's a branded shirt, right? So I put Staple NYC there, and then sort of at the 11th hour, I was like, wait a second, it's a money shirt, Staple $, NYC with the cent sign, and that's just a nice little bonus cherry on top of the design. When you have your concept baked, super good, and then you go into the execution, shit like this happens much easier. Stuff like that stroke of beauty, it just rolls off because you've got your concept so well baked. You know, this stuff just happens. And those are like the pleasant surprises that, you know, maybe the buyer of this shirt who first bought it was like, yo, I love this shirt because it has all the money words. But then maybe like after the third time he wore it, he's like, oh wait, the NYC has a cent sign and the S has a $ sign. Like, that's awesome. So we love those sort of hidden surprises too. Here's some other type tees. Type tees inherently end up being a little bit conceptual at the same time, because there's only so many times you can write the name of your brand on a shirt using a font, you know, in my opinion. So inevitably type tees end up being quite conceptual, like this one, where we did this sort of like collegiate style shirt, but then it says academically ineligible, which is, you know, a sort of a reverse mockery of the educational system. So academically ineligible, but still constantly learning. You know, if you're not a great photographer, if you're not a great graphic designer, but you're more of like a great illustrator, you know, this is an example of an illustrated shirt. So definitely get your comic illustrations, you know, your styles, you know, your characters. Kid Robot is a great example of an illustrative shirt company, you know. So there's definitely a place for you if you are a great illustrator on t-shirts. The next one is the all over print shirt. So all over print shirts had their heyday at one point when they first came out, kind of like in the late mid 2000s. All over print shirts were like all the rage. And they sort of died down recently, but I feel like now they've hit like, they haven't hit rock bottom, they've hit like a lower, more steady plateau where people can now do them every once in a while. But all over print shirts are obviously a massive statement because you're wearing this thing that's covering every square inch of your shirt. So this is an all over print shirt that we did recently to celebrate the 10th anniversary of our Nike Pigeon Dunk release. So we took the cover of the New York Post, which had the Pigeon Dunk on it, and it said Sneaker Riot really big on it and Sneaker Frenzy, and we did a collage and we just did this all over print on it. Here's another all over print shirt, which I think is a nice, more timeless, subtle way of doing an all over print t-shirt. So all of these dots are 3M reflective. So basically if a car headlight hits your shirt, you've like a big glowing polka dot basically. But it's a good, the ICNY's thing is all about safety wear. So this is a nice, another example of how you can do all over print shirt, but not loud. It doesn't always have to be loud and you know, like very obvious. It could be subtle as well with all over print. Okay, so those are some of the different types of print t-shirts you could do. The other style that I wanted to go over a little bit is the cut and sew t-shirt. So all of these shirts that I just showed you, you can pretty much do by buying a blank t-shirt at your local 99-cent store and printing on it after the fact. Cut and sew t-shirt, what that means is that the fabric is cut and then sewn into a t-shirt at your request. So it's totally custom from the ground up. And you have to go to a separate manufacturing factory to do cut and sew, but I wanted to show you some of these as well. So this is one of my favorite staple cut and sew shirts. So what I'm talking about here with cut and sew is, as you can see, the front is a pocket tee, and then the back has a completely different pattern going on in the backside. So the pocket detail is 2 pieces of fabric, the red and the navy, sewn down on the chest, and then the pocket is sewn down on that. And then another piece of canvas to support the button is sewn down on that, and then the button is sewn to that. And then the button has a Staple logo on it as well. I just basically went ham on this pocket tee. And then with the sleeves as well, this pattern matches this pattern, so if you want, you could roll up the sleeves like that and rock it like that too. Cut and sew tees are definitely like a black belt level of t-shirt making, but I just wanted to show that to you to give you some insight. Here's another one of my favorite cut and sew tees that's much simpler. This is actually a Chinese brand called NCS. So there's a lot of great details going on this as well. They've got a pocket tee with beading on it. This whole shirt's concept is all about the beading. So again, you're not gonna get beading done at a typical silkscreen shop. You have to go to a real hands-on cut and sew factory in order to do this. The other cool aspect about doing cut and sew shirt is that you actually get to customize the fit of the shirt, whether you want to do a tight fit or a baggy fit or a long fit. You know, here are two shirts. They both are the same size, right? They're both medium shirts. But let's do the width. You can see the difference. It's almost like a 3-inch difference in the width in the same size shirt. And that's because I'm an American brand and I have to deal with fat American people. And this is a Chinese brand and they're all skinny Chinese people. So their medium is much different than our medium, but it's just you know, what you want to cater to.